And welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool lost 3-2 to Swansea yesterday, putting a serious dent in their Premier League title hopes. So let's start from the front when analysing what went wrong for Liverpool against Swansea, and I think the key problem with the attack was the fact that the Lallana, Firmino and Coutinho trio wasn't quite working for Liverpool yesterday. I think Lallana, he wasn't quite playing as well as he normally does in the sort of more deep-lying midfield role, and it showed why he's been so important to Liverpool this season and why many people were questioning whether he did have a long-term place in Jurgen Klopp's side towards the end of last season, simply because when he's not arriving late in the box and he's presented with more chances, he actually seems to look a bit more shot shy. There are a lot of instances where he was getting into the box, he was getting into good positions in places where you would expect a player like Sadio Mane to pull the trigger, but instead he was just taking more touches than necessary or looking for a pass that was going to create a less easier chance than if he just had a shot on goal. I think this was a problem that went on throughout the Liverpool team. There were quite a lot of players who just weren't going for goal as much as they should have. There was another incident where Henderson worked his way just inside the box and then tried to pass to Lallana instead of pulling the trigger. And generally, Liverpool just didn't look as much like they were enjoying their attacking play as they have earlier in the season. And that showed because they just weren't getting the goals that they normally have this season. It was good to see Firmino back among the goals and back among the form. I mean, it seems that is fairly obviously to do with the return of Felipe Coutinho and the return of Firmino to that false number 9 role. And I think really Firmino is the only player who can come away from that with any credit. But with an attack like that, if they have an off day and they still manage to score 2 goals, you can't really have any complaints. And it really is down to the defence why Liverpool lost that game, because if the defence does its job, then Liverpool still get those 2 goals and they do get the win. Moving on to the midfield, there were problems, I think, with the speed of play, which also comes from Adam Lallana not playing in that midfield. Emre Can is just blowing very hot and cold at the moment because a lot of people were calling for his head after the Southampton game and saying that he's too slow, he doesn't move play about quick enough and he's not good enough for Liverpool. But then straight away after that against Manchester United, he had a very, very good game. And people were starting to say that no one should have ever doubted him. And it was a similar situation to the one with Jordan Henderson last season where he had a bad patch of form. And then this season he's come through as one of our most important players. With Can being the young player that he is, I think there's still a lot of room for him to improve. And there's no reason why Liverpool should get rid of him yet. Gini Wijnaldum just didn't quite have as good a game as he normally does. I think when Liverpool lose control of the midfield, he stops being influential because his best asset is being able to regain the ball, use his physical strength to shrug off any challengers, and then just move it along and keep the attack going. And when the team doesn't have the pace and the options aren't there for him to pass to, he just plays a lot worse. So the midfield was just too slow, and without the midfield playing well, the attack wasn't really able to express itself as much. Both the attack and the midfield were also incredibly narrow in this game. I think that was a tactic of Swansea's because they knew that without Sadio Mane, Liverpool weren't very good with their wide play. And it was a problem that occurred last season, and the reason that many people were calling out for a player like Sadio Mane when Liverpool get forced out wide because their attackers and their midfielders are playing too narrow. They have to rely on their fullbacks to provide that outlet on the sides of the pitch. And obviously Milner and Klein are good players, but they're not the best deliverers of the ball, and there was too much responsibility being put on them to get the ball into the box and create chances for Liverpool. And then this obviously also creates the problem that when those fullbacks are both bombing forward and trying to create chances for Liverpool, it creates a lot of space at the back. And Liverpool's defence was the big problem for them yesterday because Lovren and Klavan, they've had some good games. They were obviously good against Manchester United and good against Manchester City. But then they have had some pretty poor games as well, like Southampton and then like this game. Neither of them really covered themselves in glory. I think the problem is that they both look like good defenders when they're playing with Joel Matip. And so hopefully with Matip back, the problems that arose with the defenders of Lovren and Klavan should be gone, because I doubt that when Matip is fit and playing, they will be partnered together, at least not in important games like in the Premier League or in the latter stages of the Cup. Simon Mignolet, I think, could have done better with the second goal, but he is a very good shot stopper, so it's not really a mark of any long-term problems, so I'm not too worried about that. I think the goalkeepers are the least of Liverpool's worries at the moment, and the defence is the key problem, but hopefully with Joel Matip back, that should be sorted. As for the title race as a whole, I think even though we are 10 points off, it is too early to call time on Liverpool's season, because at the end of the day, if they do get the win against Chelsea in a week and a half's time, obviously that is a big if, then they're only 7 points off the leaders with another 15 games still to play. And January is just way too early to call who's going to win the league, no matter how far they are in the lead. I think Liverpool at the moment could take a leaf out of Spurs' book, because for a lot of this season, no one's really considered Spurs as being part of the title race or even a contender for the top four. A lot of people said that if they did get fourth or higher, it would be a very good season for them. But in recent weeks, their fitness that has come from their pre-season training regime is starting to come off, because they're more able to blitz teams than they were earlier in the season. They're looking like they're enjoying their football more. They're scoring many more goals. Dele Alli's coming into form. And they're starting to look like the team they were in the second half of last season. So I think Liverpool should do something similar and just look to enjoy their football and beat teams comfortably, and then we'll consider the title once they get back into the race. That's all for today's video, really. It was obviously a very disappointing result, but I don't think it was the end of Liverpool's season. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the video if you enjoyed it, and follow @LFC Focus TV on Twitter. Bye for now.